I'm 22 years old, and like I said before, I am a graduate of Salem High School. I graduated in 2013. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I'm very proud to say that I am now over 6 months clean and sober, and I'm very proud. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm at the Roanoke Rescue Mission in their recovery program. It's a year-long program there, and I'm about halfway done with that, and I'm very proud of that too. And I'm here today to tell my story, and it's sad, it's painful, it's rather insane, but it's redemptive too. So I hope to show you, give you a little idea of what addiction is like, where it can take a person, and hopefully to leave you with a little bit of hope today. I'm not going to stand up here and pretend that if anyone is in active addiction, that my words can magically speak you out of addiction, because odds are that quite a few of you in here are actually alcoholics or addicts. That's just the statistic. I'm also not going to pretend that, I'm going to let you know that no one could have spoken me out of my addiction, and no one could have parented me out of my addiction either. And I think that's important for you all to hear tonight, that I had wonderful parents, people who did not abuse drugs or alcohol, people who had high moral standards. I came from a great community in Salem that lifted me up and did everything in their power to prevent the road that I went on, but still, it did not prevent me from going down. Once I had the taste of drugs, it did not prevent me from going down the road and doing anything to get my next fix. And that's the sad reality of this disease and why it's so tricky to fight. And that's why I'm very proud to be up here and hopefully helping to prevent addiction before it starts. Because once it starts, it's very, very difficult to get a hold of. And it's one thing that I've learned from recovery, it's that everyone has their own story, and addicts have to hit a rock bottom before they're willing to get recovery. And that may sound very scary, but I'm going to tell you today the story of my rock bottom and show you where it can take a person. Just to give you a little bit of my background, I was very gifted in school. I always made straight A's. I was kind of the teacher's pet, to the annoyance sometimes of some of my other classmates. I am blessed with quite a few talents that I loved to use. I was 10 years a member of the Roanoke College Children's Choir. I was in the Salem Singers. I made all-state chorus my senior year. I was captain of the Salem Forensics team. I was a state champion in that. I did many theater productions, starred in many plays at Salem, including playing Belle in Beauty and the Beast in high school. I graduated with a 4.34 GPA. And I say all that not to toot my own horn. It sounds a little bit funny for me to stand up here and say that to you, but to show you that I was one of the last people that anyone expected would end up addicted and homeless on the street. So I had my first drink when I was 12. And where does a 12-year-old get liquor? From their parents' cabinet. Mm-hmm. It was unlocked and wide open and full of liquor. And I knew that if I took a little bit, nobody would be the wiser. So that's a little habit that I started doing as soon as, whenever my parents would go out of the house, I would sneak into their cabinet and I would drink. And it was like magic for me. It was like it took away this heavy feeling in my chest that I tried to explain to people that I now know is chronic anxiety, but it magically took that away. It stopped my brain from just going all the time. It was like a magic formula. And so soon after that, I started doing pills. You heard it mentioned, where do you get pills when you're 15 years old? From your parents' medicine cabinet. It, again, was unlocked, wide open, and just waiting for me to go into it. Soon, I started getting caught quite frequently. I was actually pretty bad at getting away with it. And I would get caught, every year, at least every 6 months, my parents started catching me. And it really didn't matter how often they caught me and grounded me. It didn't take long for me to start back using again. Addiction really has no logic with it. Pretty early, the consequences started outweighing the benefits of it. I'd have a short-lived high, and then I'd get grounded for like 3 months. It was like I was perpetually grounded, and none of that stopped me from continuing to use. I remember the first time that I realized I was using despite my own willpower. I thought, I have this opportunity to go use drugs, but I'm being drug tested for forensics at Salem, and so if I get caught, I could get in trouble with the law, I could get in trouble with my school, I could get kicked off the team, and everything that I've worked hard for could go down the drain. But still, I went and did it anyway. And that was really scary for me. When I was about 18, I just turned 18, my parents announced that they were getting separated. And that really devastated me. And for an addict, the way that we cope with stress is our brains automatically go to using. My using at that point became out of control. It wasn't quite every day at that point, because I was still in school, I was doing a lot of things, but it started to really affect me. I was using almost every single day. My grades started to slip a little bit. At that point, it was the second semester of my senior year, so I didn't do too much damage to my grades, but definitely started to affect me. That summer, I moved in with my dad, and I was using every single day at that point. Drugs had sort of become the focal point. I was like skipping class as often as possible. I was at Virginia Western at that point. And drugs just sort of took over my life. My dad caught me using in his house and said, okay,